Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. At this time, we want to welcome you to focus on Liberia. We sincerely want to apologize. We have been having some technical difficulties. That is why it has taken us longer than usual. But we are here. All is well now. We got things under control. And it's our pleasure to welcome you to the broadcast here, Focus on Liberia. In this edition of our show, we are looking at the elections. Elections are over. There are results, some conclusive, some not. And we want to go county by county to break down the result for you, what these results mean. We have somebody joining us from Liberia who will be introduced later on. Welcome. Hit the share button. Let's get started. Dennis?
We want to say welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this special election, post-election coverage. Joining us from the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, Miss Massa Washington, a Liberian journalist. I call her a veteran Liberian journalist, and also former commissioner on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Madam Commissioner and journalist, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Dennis. A pleasure.
Also joining us from Monrovia is the publisher of the independent newspaper, Mr. Chester Smith. Is on the phone joining us from Monrovia. Chester, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
It's a pleasure to be on, but just a little point of correction. It's independent probe. It's not independent.
Okay.
As I thought, but it's great to be here, especially joining in with our Liberians in the diaspora.
All right. Chester is the publisher of the Independent Probe News. And so anytime you see that that message from IP News, that's Chester sending it to you. We are glad to have you, Chester. Want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. The elections were held on December 8th. Along with the election, we had a referendum. So Chester will be giving us detailed report from each of those counties. Somebody said precinct by precinct, polling center by polling center, and we will be able to analyze. We have journalist Massa Washington to help us break it all down. So let's get started, Chester. Just your opening statement and overall, how is Monrovia and how is post-election? What's the mood there in the city?
Well, Monrovia is relatively calm in terms of our acceptance of the results in what the last 72 hours. We during the period Monrovia were actually on the height of tension in terms of a big uncertainty until the results started to come in. But the dust is beginning to settle. And I'd just like to say that a while ago, the president addressed the nation through a radio broadcast thanking voters for turning out in a peaceful manner, including political parties, for the honor the conduct of the partisans. So Monrovia is actually good, and at the moment, the parties are all carrying, especially those who are actually in the lead, comparatively, especially the senator from Bapulu County. So we are all okay. Like I said earlier on, it's an honor to be here. It's a pleasure to have all of you, especially with all the veterans, including you, on board.
Thank you so much. And we hearing much about the elections, the senatorial election. What's about the referendum? Is there any report? I don't think I found anything on next site yet.
That remains an issue of concern for all of us. On yesterday and day before yesterday, we did carry an article from the political party, especially Rainbow Coalition, calling for the spirit account and announcement and release of the results of the referendum. There were two. The referendum remained very cardinal to Liberia's democracy. So prior to that, we all understood the declarated challenges and all into the Supreme Court, and thereafter this declared on to whether or not the referendum was sailed through. During the process, the parties, for the three political parties, they contest in terms of putting a halt to that referendum, and the National Elections Commission and the government went ahead with that. So it is worrisome, remains very worrisome in terms of why the votes being counted, votes being counted for the senatorial elections, and we don't hear anything about the referendum.
And before we jump into the county by county election, I will bring in Mr. C and Ms. Washington if they have any question for you before we even go county by county. Massa.
Yeah, thank you very much. At this time, I visited the website of NEC, the National Elections Commission. Do they have all of the counties now listed, or have they called all of the counties? Or I think the last time I checked, they have called only 14 counties. So I'm not sure. Have they called? Do you know if they've called over all of the counties?
Yeah, what we experience in Massa, that's a very good question. It remains a concern for us. So we put those questions to Madam Councilor Brown on yesterday. The release of those results keep coming in pieces in terms of the total record per polling precinct. So we are also concerned, but right now, at the moment, we have the total 15 counties being reported with the highest vote and the runoff to that. But for detailed information as to percent, we just don't have it. But what we've gathered from there, we have the issue of the total eligible voters. They have those information listed in terms of the 14 percent, which was actually 2,008 across the country, and the polling places of 5,011. And we understand all of those numbers. We have 5,729 polling places being used. So there are still questions into why the remaining of those polling places were not being utilized. We are also concerned with the issue of the ballot boxes that were being taken by the chiefs there in Bapulu County. What is the status of the ballot boxes, and those remain of concern.
Okay. One other question: do we know anything at all, or do we have any stats on the ratio of female as opposed to male voters nationwide?
We don't have that statistics at the moment. Even MEC has not actually released that statistics. What I do know, they just have the public the total turnout of 36.18%, which that in total votes of voter turnout of 895,958 persons had actually turned out during the voting, which just opposed to a area or 2,466,000 persons that were actually eligible to vote.
Mr. Sear?
Thank you so very much, Chester. My question is on the referendum. I know it was reported that on the 23rd before results can be released, but is there any information as to how people voted in majority? Do you have any information?
I didn't get you quite clearly because you're looking in the background. The anchor, could you re-echo what you said?
Right. It said even though we don't have information on the referendum, do you have any information on how people voted on the referendum?
Yes, we reported on Wednesday from Mcgibby County, Massa, and Kia. In fact, the lady, the women organization in Judo plays what we call a boycott of that referendum. Places in Myanmar, they were all citing the issue of lack of information and education on the referendum. They didn't even know the proposition of which they were going to vote upon. In Massa, the same visited about 4%. These commotion even started out in where they had to call police in because there were people who got angry and told some of the referendum ballot papers. So that the issue that's around that, even it's too early to say, but from the look of things and in general perception across Massa Valley on a pass for where our reporters are, there were myths given in terms of the holding of the referendum with lack of information that surround that referendum.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to go county by county. And Chester, what we want to find out in each of those counties, starting with the senatorial election, we have only 2 counties with representative elections. So for senatorial elections, we're going to go county by county, starting with Maryland. We're starting from Cape Palmas to Cape Mount, so from Cape to Cape. And what we're interested in, we see the election result on the NEC website. Now everybody have that, so you can briefly go over who's winning or how the race is, whether it's already being called, who won, who lost, or if it is too early to call, too close to call. We also want to know if there are any hiccup, any commotion during the election or after. What were some of the issues being reported in each of those areas? If there were any surprises at all, any unknown candidate and all that. So what we're going to do now, starting with Maryland County, we are putting the result on the board. And as I call each county, just give us the report. We know you are on the phone from Monrovia. Data is not easy. So the best you can so that we can cover this quickly.
Yeah, for Maryland County, like we always said, generally, the general feeling that in Maryland County is actually to the positive elections reported that EM2 failed us in. There was a heritage and a part at the elections in terms of tension between Dan Marias and the party of the coalition led by James Bannon. There were issues of irregularities, especially down into the Wujai area where contending parties continue saying that their party representatives were not informed until the time of the counting, as most of the counting was done at midnight on a foam lights. That is a far away a portion of Maryland from the capital of Apple. So there were other issues with like undue preference given to members of the CDC candidate to coming even on the day of elections. They were allegedly saying with party paraphernalia that talked to Dan Marias. He raised those issues, and Dan Marias and James Bannon at neck to neck in terms of the current vote. We understand that James Bannon sits at 36.3% out of the total vote of 1,344. While Dan Marias actually have about about 1,178, representing 31.8%. There are still a remaining portion of Maryland County that votes will still come because of how to reach area, like I talked about earlier.
Right.
So running down to
Chester, I see that the latest report on the NEC website says it's 100%. James Bannon has 39%, and Dan Marias 20%. So it looks like Mr. Bannon is the winner.
Yeah, from the result just been pop up at the supplement, and that's what we see. But Dan Marias in a live phone program this morning in Monrovia, yesterday morning rather, threatening to go to court as the results don't represent the actual thing on the ground.
Let's go to Grand Crew.
Grand Crew County again being today a hot spot. There were tension parked in Grand Crew where the partisans or the opposition party, CDC, PP, Lainu, and the rest of the people claimed that their votes were being reversed in favor of the Cuban Senator Dr. Peter Como. That led to a heavy scuffle there. There were police called in for the regime there this afternoon, and we
We lost Mr. Chester there.
Mhm.
So, Mr. CA, that's Grand Crew. What you got?
That is Grand Crew, and as we are displaying on the screen here, I don't know if Chester was talking about 100% of the report, but what we have that we got up from the National Election Commission as was published, we have 111 of 113. So technically, two polling places left with this report that we have on our hand and constituting 98.23%. So this thing, based on the report, is over. So now going to the results, we have Nathaniel Bawe. He's at 22.22%, followed by Batakwa Nimle at 22.06%. And then you have Alfred To Sigwe at 19%. So if from what we're looking at, if you come to Peter Koma, the candidate for the CDC, if this stays this way, then he's not the winner. Then the winner of this race in Grand Cru will be Nimland or Bawe. I mean, Nathaniel Bawe will be the winner. But again, the result we have here is 98.23%. So maybe he was speaking about 100% because based on the report we have here, two polling places outstanding for the race to be called completely. That is what we have here for Grand Cru. Dennis?
Right. And just a note from Chester. Chester had and it's very strange. He did enough data on the phone, but just from talking in less than 30 minutes, all the data gone. Harmonized, he said.
Yeah, Dennis, in Liberia, everything has been harmonized. This is not a political statement, it's a fact. We know that data rate have been increased, I think, 2 times since the administration came in, and even salary and all have been harmonized. And so cutting Liberia now is more expensive, and also cutting from Liberia is very expensive than ever in our history, and that is a fact that anybody can be able to verify to tell. But earlier he was talking about Maryland County, right, Dennis?
Yeah.
He talked about Maryland County, and according to what we have here from the National Election Commission website before our broadcast time, 172 of the 173 polling places in Maryland County have reported constituting 99.42%. And of this report, we see that there might be a winner because this is 99.9%. What is left is nothing. And we see that James Banning that he was talking about, the CDC candidate, is at 9,614, constituting 39%. And it is the greatest percentage here. The next person that came closer, he was right, was Dan Morias, who had 5,085 votes, constituting 20.86%. So there's nothing that's going to be changed, even though the fact that it's just 99.42%, so it has not been called officially, but it is safe to say that the CDC candidate, James Barney, is the winner of this race, Dennis.
Yeah.
Dennis, yes. Anthony, if you don't mind, I will take you guys back to Grand Cru County, only because it wasn't very clear. The telephone conversation and the stats that was being reported by our colleague wasn't very clear. Okay. I think I heard him raise concern about some of the candidates in Grand Cru complaining about having the votes or making allegations of they thought that the votes were reversed for the CDC candidate. Did I hear that right?
That is correct. That's what he said.
Okay, so then my thought here is considering the percentages with Mr. Coleman and then the rest of them.
Right.
are there significant concerns? Is it possible, considering the percentages and the votes that each person has already? Is it possible? Should we be concerned at all about these allegations? Is it significant enough for us to be concerned?
Well, what I can say to that, Massa, is I heard him saying there are concerns from the citizens. There is outcry that there has been foul play, that votes have been taken, and this accusation has been alleged that votes are being given to Dr. Peter Coleman, who having to be the CDC candidate. That is what he's reporting here. But if I should speak to the numbers, Grand Crew has reported 98.23%. So technically, we have less than 2% remaining. And if you look at the differences, the Nathaniel Bawe is with 22.22%, which is about 3,561 votes. The next person in line, based on this report that we have, is Batekwa Nimlin with 3,536. This thing is neck to neck. And then comes in the CDC candidate, Peter Coleman, who is also in 3,260, followed by Alfredo Segbe, who is also in 3,000. So it is very tight. And chances are that the fact that they have about almost 2% remaining, anything can change. But now with this, allegation that there have been votes that has been taken away and given to the CDC candidate, I'm afraid that they will have to learn in court before it can be caught. So from that, Dennis, from what I see, is far from over in Grand Crew with this accusation of voting change hand. Yeah.
And if that were in the United States, those are the kind of results that go into automatic.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah,
exactly. That's why I asked the question, because as as the stats are coming in, and we're looking at the way each candidate is showing. Again, of course, I know we're not a Grand Bassa yet, but Grand Bassa is definitely going to be another hot spot in terms of the closeness of the vote. So I'm sitting here thinking, is this going to be a situation, maybe not all counties, but one or two counties? Are we looking at a runoff election here in any place?
Yeah. And our colleague Chester also said that there was some form of riot there and police, and they had just 4 police officers in the area.
Yes.
So they had a backup from River G, for police officer from River G to come and help. So it's tense. It's too close to call. And as I said, if it were the US, it should go into automatic recount to just make sure that everything is counted properly. He also said, it's in Maryland that Dan Mariah is even going to court.
right.
So that's it for Grand Crew. Let's go to the neighboring county, which is River G. We are still in the southeast. River G, from what I see, the latest result I look at before we could come on air. In fact, it's been 100% counted already. Ball Charles, Janitor Ball Charles Sogwe is leading by 33%, representing 4,972 votes, followed by Charles Bird with 31%, 4,598. Incumbent Murphy J with 19%, 2,848. And Francis Seyon Young in a distance 16%. So for River G, it's over. The CPP candidate, former player of Lone Star, Ball Charles, is the winner.
And Dennis, before Massa can come in, yes, it's over. Somebody will say over completely in that southeastern county of River G. It is completely over. And in fact, the National Election Commission, at the time they released their most recent result, I think was yesterday, Saturday, they declared Ball Charles Sibwe as the winner of the race in River G County. So in River G, no commotion, no trouble. Boy Charles Sibwe is a happy man, and he has been elected senator.
That
Massa?
means Bob Charles and Comrade Wizard, the two senators. Massa, River G, always the county in River G is always quick. I think in 2017, they were the first by the time it was over. Judge, we are 100%.
Yeah, exactly. But don't forget also, River G has a history of elections, of allegations of elections fraud and stuff. Don't forget the C River G before. It was during the 2011 elections. I think Ellen and the senatorial elections. There were all these issues with some of the candidates at that time. So it's good to see. Actually, it's good to see Bocha's poll of decisive victory. I think it's a good day for him. He's laughing all the way to to the bank, as we would say. So it's a good day for him. And also, I think River G, the civility with which I think they've conducted, the election also speaks for the county's own preparedness to move forward. And they were quick and decisive. They went in, they voted for who they thought the best person, is to represent them. And it was basically, a peaceful. And so we do congratulate the people of River G. But then River G is a small county. I think it has only, 3 electoral districts or so? River G? Is it 3 or 2?
Yeah, I think so. It's in 3.
Yeah, I think it has only 3 electoral districts. And so, yeah.
Yeah. So Mr. Sia, we see using the 3 county, Maryland, Grand Cru, River G, Bocha should be maybe the newcomer here or the most surprising one. Yeah, because we found out that in most of these elections, you see former senators or former representative or someone with current representative running and winning. In this case, Bocha is from, he's from, I would say, nowhere.
Bocha, he's from a different, social planet. And now entering the house of politics, someone would say the house of elders. I'm not sure if Bocha were in government. I won't doubt so because he moved to Liberia sometime back. And I know about one that Nisha Sebe at some point was, I think, Deputy Minister for Operation and Ministry of Defense.
Yeah, that is different. That's not him.
Yeah, that is different. I think that one I just talked about is the guy from Southtown. But about Bocha, whether he ever were in government, I don't know. Maybe he did. But so to speak, he is the newcomer into the realm of politics, especially legislative politics, and he did not serve in any county government before entering that house of politics. So he's fresh on the block, and it's something exciting for him as a family. I hope he will be able to represent the people of River G in a way that will bring pride not only to the country but to Liberia.
Okay, Dennis, I just wanted to just to piggyback also on what Anthony just said. Definitely, Bob Charles comes in as the one of those people who is like they have not been in the body politics, but he comes on the wave of this populist movement that is sweeping Liberia. So Bob Charles, don't forget, he's a former celebrated soccer star from Liberia. He also played internationally, and people like his play when he played. People love him, and for the fact that he's gone in, for the fact that the race in River G seemed almost like a clean cut race, and his decisive vote, the number of votes that he got decisively, his decisive win actually gives him the mandate from the people of River G. So for the fact that he was able to, take it and run with it, and he got the number of support that he got, it says that he is legitimately the senator-elect for the people of River G. They have given him the endorsement. And he's also a popular Liberian. He's an athlete as well. President George Weah is a soccer star. Shigwe is a soccer star. So we want to start asking ourselves, are we in the wrong field? Should we have played sports, or maybe or stuff like that? But it's definitely a good day for Bob Charles.
Yeah, and one more thing to mention there about Jonathan Bob Charles Sibwe, because I'm an IE fan that time, I like him. He was IE as well. But And Massa, you talk about the populism, the popular movement. He's representing the CPP, and we know that, and we will come to that, what this all means about the referendum on President Weah or the CPP, or what's happening here. Because we see that all these sports stars, these soccer stars especially, they were expected, or by default, to be in the same on team with President Weah politically, but that was not the case. We see that there are some soccer stars that are not really being close to the president or part of the president's inner cycle or in power. We look at James Salinsadiba. We look at Ball Charles, for instance, and other soccer players. So is it a result of that little rivalry that, these guys, they play soccer with President Weah, now he's in power and he forgot them, and we're going to show to him that, hey, these are your men, and this is our message to you, that you can't just forget your buddy just like that.
And then Massa make an interesting point here. I know she was trying to be humorous about that. That, hey, are we in the right field, or why didn't we go into sport as well? But my understanding is that Javon Smith, was he a journalist, or am I mistaken?
Journalist.
Yeah, Javon Smith was,
Yeah, Wellington Javon Smith is senator-elect too for Riverside County.
Riverside, Riverside. And also Aaron Pay. Aaron Pay.
Yeah. So, and I'm also reminded, Dennis, about Ronald Reagan, who having to be, who he was he a
movie star, Hollywood movie star?
Fine, was a movie star, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the list goes on and on. So, politics is something that you can come from any field. Once you manage to win the minds and hearts of your people, they can bless you with their vote and you can represent them. But what you should not want to do is to disappoint them, and that can be punishing for you.
Let's go to Sino County. That's my county. That's where and from what we see, is still is not over yet, with 87.5% counted. My former history instructor at Monrovia College, Mr. Augustine Chie, seems to be leading with 44%, followed by Romeo Quia, 31%. Grace Scotland Brahma, 22%, and Andy Cheeseman from my hometown is in a very distant 1.7%. So Mr. Chia is in the lead based on the latest report we see on the NAC website. I see 7.5%, 133 of the 152 polling places counted. Sino has 3 electoral districts, District 1, District 2, and District 3. So there we stand, and Mr. Chia is representing the Coalition for Democratic Change, CDC.
Yeah, Dennis, talking about Sino, it has been interesting. Sometimes I wonder, why is Sino County behind? Grand Crew is far behind, right behind Sino County. Maryland is all the way far east, but they are almost done in that area. But Sino, that seems to be a little closer to Monrovia, almost like in the middle, is having hard time getting more results quickly. But some things might be responsible for that. Maybe the terrain is so tough for people to get around the Bokondide area. The River Dube is on that side. It's a tough river to get around in that region of the country. But again, like you said, the CDC candidate from the very start of the counting process has been leading significantly. Chances are that he might put it off, but we'll wait until the final votes are in. Massa?
Dennis, do me a favor. Can you give me the percentages again? I only got the Scotland percentage.
Augustine Chia, 44.34%.
44?
44.3.
Yeah, 44, okay.
Thomas Romeo Quia, 31.43%. Grace Scotland Brahma is 22.4%. And Andy Cheeseman is 1.77%.
Okay, so as I'm looking at the stats here, they already have 87.5% of the votes in Sano County, and 87% in. It means that you still have sizable numbers of votes out there that have not been counted yet. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's significant enough to change, the results in terms of the candidates, because one, we don't know for sure whose stronghold, these votes will be coming from. So they could be coming from the CDC guy, the chair or guy's stronghold, and we could just put him over the top completely and give him a decisive lead once and for all. Or majority of it could be coming from Romeo Kuya's stronghold.
Yeah.
Or let's just say, just to be, fair and give everybody benefit of the doubt, it could be split, almost like equally. Everybody could get a very good percentage. So again, while it is true that the chair guy is in the lead, most likely he can pull this off. But then again, anything could happen. 31% of the vote that Romeo has, he can cause trouble for chair. He can worry his camp. It depends. He can worry depending on where these votes will be coming from. Yeah. Would they be coming from Romeo's stronghold? Would he be getting maybe 80% or 85% of the balance of the vote? So those are things that we need to look at. So I would still say it is still a very close race until NEC can actually announce the final thing. But in the meantime, it's always good to be in the lead. When you are in a competition, in a lead is good news.
Yeah. And talking about Sino, let's look at quickly the representative race. And again, Anthony, as you said earlier, we don't know why we are not getting information from Sino like we should. Okay. So far, the representative race is far from being called. We don't see the numbers here. The latest numbers I got here, let me see, came from, okay, the latest signed. Okay, what I have here, we see that on the representative side, I still can pull up my notes here for Sino. But on the representative side, it's still very too early to call it. Or Samse Weah was leading earlier, but it looked like he's being overtaken by somebody else. If I can find that number, then I can pull it up. But no information is really coming from Sino, maybe the terrain or what's going on. We don't know.
Yeah, Dennis, we can say no information is coming from Sino. Information coming, but not as we would expect. Yeah. And it's very slow. You think that Sino should be at least at 98% or 90% in, but that is not the case. Still lagging behind. This morning, the one I put up from Sano County was at 45% in. Then I think I heard you reading that they added some numbers, and I think you were saying 85%. So I don't have that recent one, but again, Sano should have been concluded now. We can only think that it's because of the terrain being difficult to travel. That might be responsible for the delay in Sano County. But let's get to Grand Judo County.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just read the numbers. I see that now. Okay. And which party is this? RA. I only see this party in Sino. Othello Do Namwe is leading with 24.44%, followed by Samse Kwiju Wea with 23.3%. Frederick Kaur is in 19.59. So those are the top three, followed by Abraham Sakba Dennis with 17. So you have 24%, 23%, 19, and 17%. I say it's too early to call.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very close race.
Yeah, very too early to call right there.
And that takes us to Grand Judo County, where we learned that this thing is over, and Zoe Penno running, Zoe Penno running on the ticket of the CDC has pulled it off.
Yeah.
And Zoe Penno is our current representative who is running to be the senator. And from what we see here, we have Zoe Penno with 40%. We have 95.98 in. That constitute 167 of the 174 polling places. Zoe Penno has 40.78%. Thomas Yaya Nimland 29%. William Yenu, that's the former Grand Jury in the United States president, with 10%. So with 10%, 29%, and 40%, and now 95.98%, I think Zoe Penno has pulled it off.
Then it is over here for the other candidates, but we want also express that Thomas Yaya Nimland has put on a very tough fight there, but not enough to overtake the CDC candidate there, Zoe Penno. Some people in Grand Jury are saying it's no surprise that Zoe Penno has been able to perform this well, but there are others in Grand Jury who are surprised that Zoe Penno will do this much well compared to Thomas Yaya Nimland, who many will argue has a national name recognition compared to Zoe Penno. But maybe it speaks to the fact that people will say politics or all politics is local, because he has been on the ground for a longer time compared to Thomas Yaya Nimland. Thomas Yaya Nimland was abroad. He moved back and resided in the county, but he has not been there for that much of a long time compared to Zoe Penno. And my surprise here, Dennis, is that Zoe Penno is a current representative. Why would the people of Grand Jury make a decision for this man, whoever the representative made him senator? Does it mean that he's doing well for them? Whatever it is, I don't know. So we should expect another by-election coming up in Grand Jury. And I will be a little political here, Dennis. This is one of the things where people can be pointing fingers at CDC. Sometimes people are like, okay, CDC, this thing should not be only about winning. It should be about money, because you are a pro-poor government. You are putting a representative on the senatorial ticket. When that person wins, you say you don't have money, then you will have to spend millions of dollars again to go to another election. That decision, if you look at the governing mantra of the CDC, it is completely unpropos.
And before you come in, Massa, let me add another person who you are familiar with, who is also running in this election for Grand Jury, and that's George Sibwe Bole Sr. He came with 6.1% of the vote. Go ahead, Massa.
Yeah, obviously, Zoe Penno is actually unmatched in these elections in Grand Jury County. And if you notice, I'm thinking that there are several reasons. One is because he's a familiar person. What has played repeatedly sometimes over the years is that Liberians sometimes tend to go for the familiar, sometimes and most of the time. So Zoe Penno is familiar. And then also, this dude has charisma. I've seen him interact with people. He may not be a very articulate, outspoken person. He doesn't talk much. Sometimes you actually forget he's there. Sometimes you forget he's actually in the House of Representatives. But he connects with his people, and that's all that matters, because he's representing the people of Grand Jury County. And for some reason, he's been able to connect with them at that level. He has charisma. I've seen him interact with them. They're comfortable with him. They see him as one of them. And then I'm also kind of thinking it may also be the Samuel Doe factor. Zoe Penno, I think, is a nephew of Samuel Doe, if I'm not mistaken. He's the son of Harrison Penno, right? Is Zoe Penno the son or nephew of Harrison Penno? Nephew?
You have relationship, brother? I'm not sure.
Okay, so yeah. So, but he's a relative of the late Harrison Penno, and those were all people who were very, very close to Samuel Doe. And Zoe Penno, when he first came to contest for Grand Jury County, the first election that brought Ellie in for first term, he ran on, that Samuel Doe name. He used Samuel Doe a lot in his campaign, his messages, his flyers, his T-shirts. And I think maybe I don't want to be unfair to say the entire Grand Judo, but I think to a large extent, the people of Grand Judo, it is still some of those territory, and Zoe Penno seem to still represent, that era. And so I think he has that in his favor. And then also, they say Zoe Penno has money. We don't know where he got his money from whatsoever, but he has money. And I've heard people from Grand Judo that say he's kind. They say, he helps people, he gives them scholarships. They say he's very generous. I don't know what their definition of generous is, but I think he has all of those factors that's been working for him. But let's just say, in summary, that he is solid in Grand Judo politics, and it pays off for him, again.
Right. And to talking about that, we also want to talk about the war factor. We see, and we'll get to Nimba later on, we see Prince Johnson, because of his participation in the war and what he did or perceived to have done for his county, so they go for him. The same thing could be working for Zoe Penno, who, as I learned, is also a former fighter. But it's surprising that George Bolle, who even had more name recognition, who was there even before Zoe Penno became anything, and also, in fact, had a fighting force that was supposed to be defending Grand Judo and all that, that he's so much in a distant third. That's surprising to me. I thought he was going to do better than that.
And then that is an interesting dynamic there, and that is why the analysis Massa just did about Zoe Penno might be what I think was looked at mostly by the people of Grand Judo, because you have Tomo Yaya Nimlen, who also was part of a warring faction, quote unquote, came to liberate the Liberian people. And then you have George Bolle there. And George Bolle, Dr. George Bolle, my understanding is that he's an educator as well. And so for the people of Grand Judo to look at Tomo Yaya Nimlen, who I understand is a career diplomat and also have some, war record, and as well as George Bolle, and say, hey, we don't want to look at you guys. We're going with Zoe Penno. It could be the fact that what Massa explained, should be what might be the reason for which they voted for him. Generals on the ground relate to his people, maybe a little more. Maybe he has some capital, and that has to be it, because if we're only looking at name, where are you living, George Bolle and Tomo Yaya Nimlen? These guys have, I can say national or even international name recognition. But
and Mr. C, don't forget, he's represent the CDC, and so far the CDC Grand Judo is a stronghold. And from the start, I understood, and it also goes back to his charisma or the things that Massa talk about, because initially Zoe Penno and Yaya Nimlen were both in the CDC.
Right.
And so what we learned from the Yaya Nimlen camp was they were having a primary, and they wanted the primary to be in Sanikwele or somewhere in Nimba, which Yaya objected. And according to them, it was some kind of manipulation or some strategy from the CDC hierarchy to kind of handpick Zoe Penno. Why would they want to handpick him? I don't know. But again, it could speak to what Massa is saying, the connection, the charisma, and also the money, because they say he has money. And party want to go behind someone who can win. But on that note, let's move to River's little, county as well, just like most of these counties in the southeast.
Yeah.
River says the winner there, Jevon Smith, Wellington Jevon Smith, and I still wonder, Wellington Jevon Smith, whether it's the same Wellington Smith, who was my senior at Monrovia College. I don't know whether it's the same guy, but anyway, with 100% of the vote in, Wellington Jevon Smith has 23.45%. Steve Tikuya, I think Steve Tikuya is this music guy. He does the production. I see his name associated with a lot of music being produced, and I'm thinking he's the same person with 22.6%, and followed by Dallas V. Goe with 15%, Gabriel Smith 14%, Bob Renzi Zanga with 11%, and the rest are in a distance. And ladies and gentlemen, if you just joining us, this is our post-election breakdown analysis. Our guest, we have Massa Washington, Liberian journalist based in Philadelphia. And of course, you have our political bulldog, the guy who eat, drink, and sleep this thing, Mr. Anthony. Anthony's here. So let's look at River says. Independent has won.
River says, yeah, independent, talking about Wellington, Javon Smith, he won. I was talking to somebody earlier who is more familiar with some people will say Bassa belt, but actually River says that his family has this name recognition in the area. I think his father or somebody from his family was a judge in that area. So his family has been more like a kind of family that have been a popular servant to the people of Riverside. And then as you know it, name recognition tends to be applause in politics. I don't have information what specifically he did as an individual. I don't know much about Riverside other than to say that, well, maybe it's because of the name recognition. And name recognition, comes with something. The family might have been making a very, very significant contribution to the people of Riverside for which they earned that name recognition. And he too, my understanding is that he happened to be a journalist. Maybe this guy being on the radio and reporting and the people of Riverside listening to him. He's a proud son of that county. So he represents them in Liberia, giving news and all that. So it was easier for them to be able to relate to him. That could be responsible for this decisive victory that he pulled in a relatively short time.
And I think he was superintendent or city mayor, one of those before for Riverside. Go ahead, Massa.
Yeah. So I think Javon's close lead in this elections speaks for several things. One, he's one of those people that people might consider somewhat clean cut. When I say clean cut, it's like some candidates they come with a lot of baggages. They come with a lot of public scandal, a lot of public allegations, hanging behind them that they have to muscle their way through to clarify. So Javon is one of those people who you haven't heard much or dark issues behind him. And then also Anthony raised a point. He's a journalist. What people don't understand is that when you're a journalist, you're in the public eye, and people don't understand too that even though you are not a newsmaker, you're not the subject of the news, and you're not supposed to be the subject of the news, but you become an integral part of the news. And in so doing, you also become, well known. And I think it's paid off for Javon. And also, C.A. raised the point of his family. My little experience with Riverside County, I know is that, it's a small county, and most of the families that I know, the historic families, and they're interrelated. Most of them are interrelated. And the people of Riverside are one of the most distinguished, group of Liberians you will find. And so he comes from he comes from that background. So it's not only his Smith family, but the extended families who are also considered permanent families of Riverside. So that plays in his favor as well. And he's still youthful. He is still youthful. He's energetic. He connects with the local people on the ground. And he was, I think Javon was superintendent before or something. I know when Francis Bay was a representative, Javon was superintendent. So he served, and they've seen, perhaps they've seen what he can do. Not everybody who has served did well, and is going to be voted in again. But apparently, what he's doing well. But then again, on the other hand, it is still a close race. It is still a close race. You're talking about 23.4% to 22.6%. That's you're talking about probably only just 2% dividing two of them, and it hasn't been called yet. At this time, if I were him, I would not celebrate too much. I will continue praying. The people of River says they believe in God, sectors. I will continue to pray because guess what? This thing can flip at any time.
Yeah. And let me mention, I just pulled out that Javon Smith was the former.
Dennis, hold on. Massa says it's not being called yet. It has been called, Massa. It has been called. It has been called,
okay.
Yeah. He has been called 100% reporter already. He is the senator-elect for Riverside.
And he's the former Assistant Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism. He's also the former Superintendent of Riverside County. He served for 5 years under President Sirleaf.
Okay.
So you see that we see that what's happening in Liberia now is to win election, you must be, someone who has some money to run. I don't know, and we're going to go into it and see where we see really any unknown. So far, we don't see any unknown candidate or someone from nowhere winning this thing. Let's go to Grand Bassa.
Grand Bassa County, one of the most talked about races. The battle there was tough than everybody had imagined. As you are aware, the two major political blocs in the country, that is the Congress for Democratic Change and the Coalition for Democratic Change, each of the two blocs had a big name candidate in that particular county that contested the race, talking about Weston Garfield. And the thing is that I can say these are two former senators going at it, and on the ticket of the biggest political blocs in the country, Nyomble from the CPP and Weston Garfield, former senator of Grand Bassa County, also former Minister of Foreign Affairs, representing the CDC there, and the CDC campaigned heavily. The president went there. All the big names in the CDC went there to campaign. My understanding is that Chairman Cummings of the CPP also went there to campaign for Nyomble. So it was a battle, and we can understand why this thing ended, this close. But Nyomble, the CPP candidate, managed to win. So before you guys can comment, let me read the numbers here. With 100% reporting, the winner, Nyomble Kanga Lawrence, came up with 22.476%. 42.01%, which is the equivalent of 22,476 votes, followed by Weston Garfield with 38.03%, constituting 20,346 votes. The other person that came closer was Vincent Willie. I understand he having to be a representative, another person who has a name recognition. Even there were some people that were thinking that he could have put up a surprise victory, but that did not happen. And we understand why. The Bassa people, I don't know why, Dennis, why I say when it comes to senator, people are looking for big names before the vote. Why is that? Massa, you tell me something.
Well, I think I don't know whether this theory holds true across the board, that is the 15 counties. But what I know is that is being showing up in several counties like Maryland County, Grand Bassa County, Bomi County, and definitely, of course, Montserrat County. Right. But I would say for Grand Bassa County, I think Senator Kanga Lawrence has actually really, if I'm allowed to say, I think she's earned that victory, because the Grand Bassa County elections, honestly, has been a cliffhanger moment for me. I followed it very closely. One of the reasons, too, is that because, one, you have an incumbent senator who is the only female senator at the Capitol building. And, me being a women's advocate and whatsoever, I follow her very closely. And I'm not going to say whether I supported her or not. I'm trying to be fair and balanced. But I follow her very closely. I follow her campaign. And I follow, how much work she put into it, mistakes here, her strengths and challenges. And I would say just up to Saturday, I think Friday or Saturday, when I checked on the election statistics from Grand Bassa County, Senator Lawrence was in the lead by 47.5% compared to Mr. Finley by 44.3%. But then when I checked, I think it was yesterday sometimes, I checked yesterday, Mr. Finley had taken the lead just very shortly. So he had taken the lead just very shortly at that time. He had, hold on, I think I wrote it here somewhere because it interested me. he had taken the lead. He had taken the lead shortly with 39%, and Yombli Kanga, Yombli was 38%, and he was 39%. But all's well that ends well. I would say for Yombli, all's well that ends well. This shows that she's solid in the Grand Bassa County. I think women's female, feminists, I think they are excited about her maintaining her seat in the Senate. And we're hoping that, would have had more women, being senators, winning. But this was not a victory for her lying down. It was a hard-won, hard-earned victory. What this also said too is that the very closeness of the votes also says that Senator Kanga has work to do in terms of reconciliation and reconciling, the country, and also reaching across the aisle. After a while, she needs to find, former Senator Finlay and former Minister Finlay. They need to have some sit down, and they need to have some discussion as to how they all can come together for the betterment of Grand Bassa County. Because when you look at it technically, it was anybody's vote. But we are excited for her. Congratulations to her. She pulled it off. She's a strong person, and she did it. All's well that ends well. When you play the game of soccer, I don't know how to play, but I remember someone said one time, commentating a soccer game one time with the Lone Star, and the Lone Star played a very good game because they dribble, but they didn't score the winning goal, and then the other team scored. And I remember it was this physical education professor at LU, Nama, I was in his physical education class, and he was saying, look, at the end of the day, it is not about who can dribble the best. And it's not about who can headbutt the ball the best. It's about who scores the goal. Yeah. And scoring the goal is what makes you win. And Youngly has definitely, gone to, she reached the end of it. She scored that winning goal. So hey, congratulations to her. And it's a good day for her.
Right. And we want to also mention that Magdalene Harris, who went to Liberia from the DC area some time ago, is in third place with 2%. And Emmanuel UJ Dekie, he withdrew and endorsed Mr. Bezonga Finlay. He's the last, 129 votes, 0.2%. I say congratulations. It's not an easy thing to get in a race. And with that, let's go to Mr. Sia. You want to say something before we go to Nima?
I wanted to comment. Well, I'm a little bit hesitant because Massa being, woman advocate, I just saw that she pulled her passion. This is the longest commentary she has given.
Mom, don't be biased.
I can certainly relate to that. But I will keep all that I had to come up with so that I can come across any other way. So let leave it at that. Let me progress. Let go to Nimba, Dennis. Is that where we're going?
Yeah, let's go to Nimba.
Yeah, but Dennis, just 1 minute before we go into Nimba, though, we must congratulate Magdalene, because don't forget, it's very difficult leaving the diaspora in a very short time and going to run a campaign and coming third for, a popular county, the Grand Bassa County. Honestly, I think she did very well. And I think if she's really interested in remaining in politics, this is a stepping stool for her. She can take it to the next level next time. So congratulations to Magdalene as well.
Good. Thank you. And maybe Mr. C want to congratulate his man, Dekie.
Yeah, then let me use this time to congratulate my good friend, Emmanuel Jude Dekie, for also leaving the U.S. and venturing into that lion's den of Grand Bassa County, to participate in the election. I didn't know that he has dropped out and endorsed Besson Gafinde. If he actually did, that was a terrible decision. I wish he had he has talked to me, sorry. I wish he had talked to me before taking that decision, because that decision may well not go well for him, given the trend of politics as we speak. And this is what I want to ask him. If he still wants to be a senator of Grand Bassa County, let him try to become a superintendent first. And maybe he will be able to connect with the people better. It's about connection. It's about name recognition. I know he started a little project here and there, but in a relatively short time, and that could not put it off.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are midway into the broadcast. I don't know if we can make it through, but we have some big counties. But the good thing, what I like about the broadcast tonight is counties that have not really gotten the kind of coverage that they deserve. We have done that very well. So even if we don't cover Nimba because it's been overcovered, or Bassa or the rest of it, I'm happy with that. But let's go to Nimba County, one of the, they always call it vote rich. And we have Jeremiah Kuhn representing the MDR. He's leading now with 97.44% of the votes in, representing 722 out of 741 polling places. Jeremiah Kuhn, or Count, that's how it should be. Jeremiah Count has 36.29%. Edith Gonglo Ware of the CPP has 32.22%. That is representing 32,803 votes. Jeremiah Count, 36,954 votes. And we have Garrison Yelu with 15%, representing 15,000. Tazi Wangwe, the independent, or the guy who, the CPP
slash ANC
runaway. He has 5,251 votes, representing 5.16%. So Jeremiah Count is leading with 36%, followed by Edith Gonglo with 32%. If Edith can pull it off, that will be a big victory again for the CPP. And looking at more women in the Senate, I know Massa will be happy about that. Especially Edith is from Philadelphia, where Massa is. And so there is 10. So Massa, let me give you the chance first. The current superintendent is the last with 1.78%. And the incumbent Senator Groupie is in a distant fifth place with 4.38%. I would say, wow.
Okay, what's the percentage of vote that's in now? Has it?
97.44%. Jeremiah Kuhn, 36. Edith Gonglo, 32. Garrison Yelu, 15. Ta Wangwe, 5%. Ta got a Dewell Trophy, 4th place.
Okay, looking at the percentage of votes that's already in, you're talking about you have less than under 3% of the votes that's outstanding.
Right.
I don't know if a miracle is going to happen for Edith Gonglo. I don't know whether it's safe either to call these elections for the presidential guy who's in the lead. But let me just say this though, with the very strong showing that Edith has pulled up here, she's on a very good start. Again, being the women's rights advocates, it's always a good thing to have women in the race. It's always a good thing to have women who are educated, articulate, who are brave, who are not timid, and who are not afraid to go out there, to represent the people and also to represent the women of Liberia, to make sure that the women have a voice in all of this, so that politics and other aspects of life in Liberia does not continue to be a male-dominated thing. So I do congratulate Edith Gonglo actually for being so brave and, just having the audacity and, of courage, to come out there and to put it so very closely. Again, it's a close one, but I'm not too sure if she's going to pull this off. But what she's done here, she's made a statement. Okay, she's shattered that glass ceiling for Nimba County, because Nimba County is a top county. You have some really, don't forget, it has more than 500,000 voters.
Massa, let me, before you land, the Gonglo name is a very recognizable name in Nimba. Edith I'm not taking anything away from her, but she's not unknown, right? She's been the superintendent of Nimba County. She's worked closely with the president, and she got the CPP that has this populist movement behind her, and she's not able to pull it off. Or Jeremiah Cohn, the representative from the Ganta area, I'm surprised that is winning. Maybe is this the Prince Johnson factor or what's going on? Because CPP is riding on this big wave. So, and again, the Tai Wongbe factor. So I don't know, but continue.
But don't forget, some counties have peculiar. Nimba is a peculiar county, and peculiar is not a negative word. Yes, just so that people know. Looking at Holy Bible, you will see peculiar there. Peculiar is actually a positive word. So Nimba County is a peculiar county, and love him, hate him, Prince Johnson still has, a hold. He still has a grip on Nimba County, as you can see. No doubt, maybe that's why his people called him the grandfather of Nimba. So politics in Nimba is a tough one. It's a rough, terrain. It's male dominated. It's strong men. You understand? And then here you have Edith. Yeah, Edith is also a strong person, but she has to mother this, deal with all this chauvinism issues and all of that. And I don't know how much fundraising she had to actually campaign as vigorously as, Mr. Cohn, who is now in the lead. But I'm saying this because it's almost impossible for her to poll or win at this time, looking at less than 3% of the votes as in, because we can't just assume that the rest of the votes is just going to go to her, which is, basically almost impossible. But yes, either has name recognition, but that's Liberian politics is so fluid, it is so intricate. Okay, so you could be a friend of President Eddie Johnson Sirleaf, you could be an inner circle member of President Eddie Johnson Sirleaf, and people were supporting you yesterday, but then again they could hold it against you today and not support you. They could say, oh, you know what, we're done with Ellie, that Ellie woman there. You getting my point? So we don't know how many of this came to play for Edith, in favor of her or against her. But what I want to say is that it's better when you win, but then sometimes it is not all about the winning. Edith has a chance in the Nimba County, and I foresee her in the future really, really putting it off for Nimba, if not this time.
Yeah. Mr. Sia, let me bring you in here on this one.
Yeah.
Tai Wongbe, Edith has 32,000, right? Tai Wongbe has 5,000. I'm not saying that everyone for Tai will have voted for Edith, but 5,000 plus 32,000, that's 37. That's above the 36,000 that Jeremiah Kun has. Is Tai Wongbe the spoiler here?
And Dennis, again, let me throw a little jab at Massa, another long commentary by her, because we are talking about a female and her passion is out here. But I will let her to have a movement, because I agree with her. We need more women participation in every area when it comes to governance. So she being an advocate, she needs to keep pushing that. But again, Dene is right. The name Gonglo is a household name in Nimba County. Prince Johnson is not even on the ballot. Prince Johnson only endorsed Jeremiah. And yeah, is Jeremiah doing well than Ada Gonglo? Why? She served as superintendent before. So the fact that she is now winning this thing when Prince Johnson is not on the ballot, except that he was able to endorse somebody, I think the Ida Gonglo is coming very, very short here. My understanding is that this is now her first time attempting, to contest for an elective position in Nimba County. This is her second time, and this time she has CPP that is on the rise politically in the country behind her. Now, on the flip side, Ile may not be the only one responsible for this. She's not responsible for this defeat. I'm calling this one. I think Kun has won this thing. I'm calling it because what is left is nothing. All right, Dennis. And the point you were making, let's assume the CPP had not made this blunder to have two candidates in the race. You have Tai Wongwe there, coming off with 5,251 votes. If you add Tai Wongwe 5,251 votes to elect 32,803, it will pull her at 38,000. Kun is with 36. So if Tai Wongwe were not in the race, assuming that all those that voted for Tai Wongwe have voted for it, this is a done deal. So the CPP is to be responsible for this. They could not find a way to avoid having two candidates in the race. I think putting two candidates in this race actually hurt them here. They would have been a done deal for them, but that did not happen because they made a blunder. They should have done everything possible for Tai Wongwe to not have gone in this race. I mean, they tried to sacrifice him, but he became very stubborn. Tai Wongwe, it is a right to contest, but his decision he made hurt the CPP here, and I will hold him responsible for their loss in Nimba County.
All right. And Mr. C8, I think we've gone a lot here. We still have Bon County, Mcgibby, Lofa, Bapulu, Bome, Maserado, and Cape Mount. And I think we can end without completing. What's your thought?
Well, then let's go to Maserado County, where Bamboo can divide cola, and then we close this broadcast.
Right. What I want us to do is we should just summarize the whole thing without even getting to Maserado.
Yes, so we'll read the result for the rest of the county, and we'll do a little bit of analysis of Maserado and get out of here.
Yeah, because Maserado always have everything. So I'm a proponent of that we talk about other counties. But let's quickly go to the next county is Bon County. Bon County we have with 100% in Prince Kemu Moi has won it with 51%. This is a clear win. The next is Henry Yala coming next with 25%. Sorry, with 32%. 51% for Prince Kemu Moi and Henry Yala next with 22%. The third person is Morgana Flomo Jr. I didn't even know he was in the race. The former health minister in a distant third place with 5%. That's for Bon County. We go to Mcgibby County, where we have 97.62% in. Emmanuel James Nukwe is leading this with 59%, followed by Ava Kukulu June in the distant 27%. This is a done deal for Jeremiah Nukwe of the PUP, the former speaker and the former vice presidential candidate. We go to the next, which is Bapulu County, where our man Alaro Tokba came last. I want to start with that, with just 229 votes representing 1.25%. 1.25%. I want to mention that, start with that, because this is this is disgraceful. This is a shame that this, for the second time, Mr. Tokba is not even able to get 300% voting for him. But the winner is Boto, non-winner, with 96% in. We have Boto Kane, independent, with 25%, followed by Afre Geflo Kowu with 23%, and Bwama Kwe Tawe in a distant 14%. And the last there is Ama Zulu Yala. Ama was very promising, but he has won. He has 10.68%. That's for Bapulu County with 96% counted. Also for Lofa County, the county of the former Vice President Bwaka, we have Brownie Jeffrey Samukai is leading with 90% of the vote in. He's leading with 30%, followed by Joseph Pato Jala with 23%, and Mamu Bien Fofana with 16%. And the rest are in distant places. That's for Lofa. We go to Grand Cape Mount, where there is a decisive win here. 100% in, we have Simeon Boyman Taylor of the CPP with 34%, followed by Victor Vannie Watson, 29%, Mamo M. Sunny with 16%. Where is my man Sandro Wynn? Sandro Wynn has 4.87% for Grand Cape Mount. We go to Bapulu County, where I am looking for Zubon on this list. Yes, it's we have Edwin Melvin Snow, the former speaker, with 53.9%, followed by Mr. Alex Jenikai Tyler with 28%. In third place is Sando Johnson of the CPP with 9%, and Zubon Boima Normal, Dr. Normal with 2.9%. Adama Soko Dolly with 4%. So Edwin Snow had won this decisively. He had more than double the score of the next, which is, no, my map is not too right here. He almost double what Ellis Tyler has, 53% to 28%. That's now, and now Monserrado County, where 95.56% is in. Abraham Darius Dillon of CPP, 61%, followed by Thomas Fala with 35%. We have Bernard DJ Blue Benson with 1.2%. I mean, and nobody else is even close.
The rest is zero.
There is Ava. Ava had 840 votes. So that's for Monserrado County. And we also have the representative campaign, the representative race, which let's see what we have here for representative. Is between Fubi Henry and James Salinsa Diba and Foko. They were the people everyone was looking at. And at the end of the day, we have, this is what we have. Frank Safoko has 34%, followed by Fubi Henry, 33%, and the celebrated star James Salensa Diba with 2.85%. In third place is Miller B. Katakor with 9.9%. That's the representative race in Monserrado County for District Number 9.
And what percentage has reported that, Dennis?
I don't have that unless I go back to the map. Right. I'll tell you that in a minute, but go ahead with what you can say about this.
And Dennis, the Monserrado County Senate race is a done deal. Darius Dillon has yet again proven that he's politically mightier than the CDC, and flying on the wings of the coalition for, the collaborating political parties, and at the same time, to his credit, flying on his political fin that he has been able to cultivate through social media initially, and using his little unique experiences that he has galvanized over the time he served in government. Dillon has, revolutionized the way politics is done in Liberia. Dennis, this guy is the only known candidate his supporters contributed money to. He raised money from voters. I don't know about any other candidate in these elections that just ended, other than Darius Dillon, who raised money from voters. He raised money from voters, and yet he's the one winning with the highest percentage, 61%. And remember now, President, we have won the election with 61%. Here is Darius Dillon winning this race in Monserrado County with 61%. The next person that came close to him, percentage-wise, is Evan Henry Snow with 53% in Bapulu County. They tell us a lot, politically speaking, for those of us who have political eyes. This is amazing. It's a done deal. The CDC cannot make any political argument about Monserrado County being their stronghold. We can all say congratulations to all the winners, including Darius Dillon and all other candidates who were able to pull it through. We look forward to the other races being called by NEC so that we can put this behind hard and see how we move from there.
Massa?
Yeah, definitely. I will start with the Monserrado race, just because Anthony ended with Monserrado. I mean, obviously, Darius Dillon has proven to be the new it boy for Liberian politics. He now has the it factor for Liberian politics. He's a young man. He got charisma. He's good looking. He speaks the language of the Zocos. Not to be derogatory. I'm just speaking, local language. He speaks the language of the Zocos. They understand him. They love him. He's been able to sell himself. He's come across with all different demographics of Liberians. He's very strong in the diaspora. He has a huge diaspora of following. And like Anthony said, he probably was one of the only candidates who people actually raised funds for him to run his campaign, to make sure, that he got there. And also, he's the only person who more or less will, in a minor way, speak on policy issues, like what he wants to do when he becomes senator, what he thinks Liberia is, where he thinks it should go. And the Liberian people like that. And Dillon, when you look at him from face value, he doesn't seem too much like a serious person. When I say serious person, not me, I don't mean that he doesn't know the issues or he's not educated, but, his personality seems, kind of, calm, laid back, kind of laissez-faire. But when he gets the microphone, he connects immediately with the voters and the grassroots because he speaks the language. He understands, he masters the language. He says the words that, they want to hear, they like to hear. His gestures and his articulation, fires up that, that demographic. And so, yeah, Dillon is a new it guy. Congratulations to him. We hope, what I would like to see from him, though, I would like to see a more bipartisan approach towards how he would get, the work done for Monserrado County, because Monserrado County is a huge demographic, represent a cross-section of the population. And, you have more than 1 million, I think you have almost 1 million of voters in Monserrado County alone. So Dillon would need to learn now it's good to be fiery, it's good to be passionate about issues and everything, but it would be good for him to try to tone down a little bit, see if he can get some bipartisan approach towards some of the things that he says he really wants to do for Monserrado County. But congratulations to him. He pulled it off. This is a decisive win for Dillon, and we must give it to him. He has that it factor.
Yeah. Thank you. And because of time, we're going to be wrapping it up. But a few things I want us to look at on the overall elections. Let's say we have the CPP winning. You can give me that number again, Mr. C. I think 6 areas, right? There are 19 political parties in the country. Of the 19, we have CPP 4 getting together to make the CPP, and then one, I think 3 with the coalition. And now we see most of the races either independent CPP or CDC. What's happening to the other parties? Are they irrelevant, or what's going on here? PUP won one. I think MDR with Jeremiah Kuhn, PUP with and then so what's going on with other political parties? Is it time that hey, one person can win it, we should just join coalition to be able to make any significant impact? Is that what we're saying here?
Dennis, you use the right word, irrelevance. Most of our political parties in Liberia are very much irrelevant. All of them. Irrelevant, more so in the sense of what a political party should be. And our political parties, all of them are irrelevant. Where they get relevant is at some point, one will be able to attract a lot of Liberians. Maybe because the political noise is in their favor. Maybe because the political narrative is in their favor. That was CDC. The political narrative was on the CDC. CDC was a grassroots political party, so people gravitated to the CDC. Manions, the love for CDC because of George Weah and the identity that he has that embodies, the entire generation of youthful Liberians. Besides that, there is nothing there in terms of organization and structure. So when I say all our political parties are irrelevant, they are irrelevant. You cannot tell me what is the policy of each of the parties. You cannot identify any party by what they stand for and what they believe in Liberia. We do not have that. So our political parties, to a greater extent, in the true sense and meaning of political party, have been completely irrelevant. More so about the ones that are unknown. They are completely irrelevant. And I think it's about time that in Liberia, we move to a two-party system. It will help us better. It will make our politics competitive. It will provide the opportunity for more primaries, and competitive politics. But what we see here, if you're making noise, everybody run to you, and then you form a political party. That political party, this is all we've been having. It go far back at UPP and all these parties in the past. So Dennis, to your point, the war is irrelevant. All our parties are irrelevant in the true sense of political party.
Massa, I have another one after you come in.
Yeah. So just to also add to what Anthony has just said, I think the Liberian people also are beginning to understand because every election you see new dynamics, and sometimes you see a shift completely, not completely 100% from the old way of doing things to and you see new dynamics. So when you look at the last election, there was 26 political parties, okay? And now, this election, we have 19 political parties. So what it tells you is that Liberians on the overall are beginning to shy away from all these proliferation of political parties that really, it's just a much ado about nothing. Most of them have no substance. They don't have any constituencies. They don't have any money. Everybody wants to have like a hand grip political party. And I think Liberians are beginning to understand more that we can accomplish more if we work together as a people. So whether as a political party or a coalition, like in the case of the CPP, people are beginning to understand that more. In the great United States of America, they have only two major parties, plus maybe one or two other minor parties and stuff. So the more Liberians begin to understand that, we're not going to get it done if we continue to be individualized, the more, it will proffer better for us. So what we're seeing here actually is a drift away from this proliferation of political parties to a more reasonable way of forming political, coalitions and actually having parties that are actually viable and that can actually be viable.
My final thing I want to look at here is, yes, we agree, coalition makes that, and we see that with the CPP. In Bon County, CPP, Prince Kemo, Bassa, CPP, Yombe Kanga, Lawrence, Maserado, CPP, Darius Delon, Lofa County, CPP, Brandon Samukai, and River G, CPP, Boy Charles. We also have CPP Kennedy Sando Johnson in Bome, even though he didn't win, and then CPP Nimba Idef Gonglo. What I see here is the CPP has four parties, right? We have the Liberty Party, we have the ANC, we have the Unity Party, and the ALP of Benina Uri. What I see here, I don't know how these things were decided, but for instance, I don't know, Lofa, Bassa, CPP, that's a Liberty Party. I'm not trying to bring division in the CPP, but I don't know how they actually divided these things. Was it proportionate? Was it the best candidate? Or again, did the ANC feel, again, cheated in these things, not having more candidates? I think Simeon of Cape Mount is ANC. I don't know of Boycha as a CPP, but I don't know.
Yeah, Boycha. My understanding is ANC.
Yeah, it's ANC.
Right.
So that would be ANC. ANC. Is it so from what I see, the LPP or the LP, the Liberty Party, may emerge after this election has the strongest or the leading party in the CPP. Is that something that we need to look at, or doesn't really matter?
Then it does not matter. If you look at the ALP, what I know, we have Darius Dillon, who has been elected. Senator elect now. Then we have Nyomli Kanga, another leader in the party. These are the two individuals. When you talk Liberty Party, these are the two individuals that made the LP. That's why I was telling you that all the political parties in Liberia are irrelevant in the true sense of political party because they are tied to individuals. If we talk Unity Party now, that's Bwaka, all right, and that's how it has been. No, the Liberty Party, it will now be a stronger party because the support that Darius Dillon enjoy, I can guarantee you, he does not get most of his supporters having to be member of Liberty Party. No, the diaspora-based people in Liberia, now all of them are Liberty Party individuals. Liberty Party, for the most part, has been a Bassa party. And Darius Dillon get support across the entire country. So it is about his personality and his style of politicking that why people are connecting to. They're not connecting to the party. Even you come to Nyomli Kanga Lawrence, it's because of her, who she is as a person. And then also the CPP support that she's getting, that all carrying her. Other than that, that is not the Liberty Party. And the same can be said about most of the party. The only party that has been able to try a little bit to connect itself as an institution to the people has been a CDC. You hear CDC, sedition. How much? I mean, you don't hear that too often about Liberty Party partisan. You don't hear that much. No, except for CDC. Maybe it's easier to pronounce, but that's how I see it.
The way I see it is, yes, a little bit from Anthony's perspective, but then I bring another perspective. I think the ANC of the CPP is being overwhelmed by other members of the coalition. For example, again, I stand to be corrected, and I don't wish to be I don't wish to put anybody down, and I don't wish to be disrespectful to anybody. But Darius Dillon, for example, of the LP, is more popular than the Alexander Cummings of the ANC right now. Darius Dillon can get votes. And he's from the Liberty Party. Nyomli Kanga is also another popular person. She's from the Liberty Party. And then, like Anthony said, Liberia's politics evolves around individuals. So Darius Dillon has been able to, yesterday was Charles Taylor. Day before yesterday was Charles Taylor. Yesterday it was the current president, George Weah. Today we have a Darius Dillon that's emerged. That's become the new it boy. So even though you have this coalition of the CPP, but when you look within the coalition, there are certain members and member parties of the coalition that are emerging or winners that are being noticed, and not necessarily the entire CPP. And unfortunately, for some reason or another, the ANC does not seem, to be that CPP member who is in the lead. At this point in time, it's the Liberty Party. When you look at the popularity of Darius Dillon across the board, when you look at even the popularity of Nyomli Kanga across the board. So I think that's the dynamics that's coming to play. And I think sometimes it hurts other members of the coalition. Like, for example, I don't see other coalition members winning big in other counties, like, Anthony tried to, call our attention to. So I think what they need to do is not accept, maybe they have a strategy, maybe the CPP has a strategy that the rest of us don't know. I'm not a member of any of these parties. I'm not a member of the CPP. Not accept they have a strategy, not accept they are actually working to promote Darius Dillon as the presidential candidate for the next election. If that's the case, then of course looks like probably it's going to be a very good strategy for them, considering, his popularity now, and we don't know what will happen down the road. But from the way it's looking, look like the Liberty Party is actually the one that's calling a shot in terms of support from the general public.
Yeah, that's how I. And don't forget, Edith Gonglo is also from the Liberty Party, and she pulled, Nimba County, and you have all this vote. That's significant. And the Liberty Party is becoming a party to reckon with. But again, to Anthony's point, besides the three people we know, where are the members of the Liberty Party? You don't see that. Musa Belete is one of them, but we still want to see more of that. And let me read a few comments and then we can wrap this up. Vani Kroman say James Benny is in a comfortable league. Talking about River G, Dave Jazz said the Gribbos are peaceful and intelligent. Kudos, River G, that they were able to get this thing here very quickly. Manja Vani Kroman say Bolcha is a serious adversary to President Weah in the government. Also, Sam, the question is, did Sam Wallace say the question is, did Wangwe hurt Gonglo in Nimba? I think we answered that question. Right. Dave said Tai Wangwe undermined the CPP and that was selfish. Sam Wallace said the CPP was splintered even further as a result of these midterm elections. Every one of the leaders now believe President Weah can be beaten, and with DeLong getting 200,000 votes, he's likely to, and he stopped there. The country is going backwards, Sam Wallace say, again, with people supporting the least qualified candidate as a future leader. So let's conclude on this. All the elections, all the results, the referendum, everything that we talk about. What does it mean for the country, for the future of the country? Looking at not just 2023, but the future of Liberia. For me personally, I think. Let me let you go first.
Dennis, what these elections tell us is that we saw democracy play a little bit in Liberia. And I can argue with anybody any day. First, these elections were very peaceful. Yes, there were some issues here and there about somebody having, 100 voter registration cards. Report that somebody was trying to, put pre-marked ballots in there. Even in the West, you see, some manner of irregularities or attempt by some individual coming. But the fact that we conducted a peaceful election, free of violence, there has not been anything major noise so far, other than the one Chester was talking about in Grand Cru where somebody is crying foul. We see that everywhere around the world. Even the U.S., that some people say is the mother of democracy, we have a president who has no respect for human decency going to the Supreme Court for an election. He lost over 7 million votes. So we saw democracy at play in Liberia. I am hopeful that we will be able to build on this. We have set yet another good example that as a people, we can have an elections. They can be peaceful. I don't want to emphasize too much on the nature of fair because I don't have all the facts. But the fact that we can all agree these elections were peaceful, our people went to the poll. The turnout was also impressive, meaning that the people were motivated. And they were able to make their voices to be heard at the ballot box. It's a good thing for Liberia. Now, for these people who have won, let me tell you what's going to happen. They're going to get new cards. Why the people who voted them are still waiting? They will get money for their offices. Why the people who voted for them still waiting? So we are completely far when it comes to the benefit that voters and the citizens should get from this kind of election. But the main fact that we set an example of conducting a peaceful election, a space that maybe we are getting mature a little bit. We'll see.
Massa?
Yes, so because of time, I'm not going to repeat what Anthony just said. Anthony, I do agree with all of the points you've made, but I would like to make one or two observations. One, while it is true that the Election Commission, I think they did a fantastic job on the overall, but I think they could have done better initially with the paying attention to the issues of voters trucking. Like, for example, I, follow very closely the entire election process especially Bapulu County. I'm from Bapulu County. And I have, my candidate, I have someone who I endorse who ran from Bapulu County. So I follow that process very closely. You had people, allegedly, Mr. Alex Tyler, Sanu Johnson, and Edwin Snow, allegedly trucking people from Monrovia ahead of time to register them to vote. And those same people were trucked back to go into vote. So when it happens like that, and there are no consequences so that people don't do this anymore, what they do is they change the credibility of the process, and they try to disenfranchise the actual citizens and residents of those places. And this was a far cry everywhere. Bapulu County was the same thing. We heard people, the youth ran away with bottle boxes because they felt that people who were coming in were not from the county, because they know that people in the county. Grand Judo reported similar thing, and so it was just all over the place. So this is something that the Election Commission needs to get better with. And the media also, I have a little bit concern with the media, being a media person myself. I think it was in 2010, the Press Union of Liberia worked with the Election Commission, and they came up with a code of conduct on how the press will cover the elections. And by and large, the press has done a fantastic job. I'm not trying to take away, from the hard work of the media. But then also, because you are a media person and because you are a member of the fourth estate, it behooves the media to actually at all times be more vigilant. You're not just an ordinary person. You're actually reporting on the processes. So, for example, I did not see the media from the beginning actually presenting the different candidates to the public. When I say presenting, not to present a platform or whatsoever, but to report on, for example, give a little background on this individual. Okay, and I'm speaking from the perspective of a human rights advocate. Don't forget, I was a key commissioner on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and the TRC has certain individuals who are listed for various forms of consequences, because of their role in the war. You have people who are listed on the perpetrators listing for persecution. Running in all these elections, people who are in, the economic crime, on the economic crime list, running in these elections. The Liberian people didn't know. Like, someone called me, I wrote something once, and someone called me and said, really, this person, blah, blah, blah. And I said, go and read, go to this website, go to that website and stuff. So I think it is incumbent upon the press to be able to present all candidates to the public. Don't judge them, just say XYZ is running for this county. This is who this person is, and these were the allegations, and leave it with the public to decide. Okay, and then also the issue of voters registration, the trucking in voters. I want to commend the press. The press did fantastic with covering, this violation, of elections law. So they did very well. They have videos all over the place. At one point in time, there was a journalist who was actually on video discussing this and recording, and he was actually chased. You could see him running, you could hear him running, out of breath, risking his life just to bring that aspect of the news to the people of Liberia. But all in all, congratulations to the people of Liberia. It was basically, non-violent elections. And, Rome was not built in a day's time. Gradually, hopefully we'll get there one day. And we hope now that after everything is done, people will try to come together, to work together. Everybody loves Liberia. It's just that we see things from a different perspective, but we need to come together. That love, that it needs to unify us to move our country forward.
Thank you, Massa. And you wouldn't have said any better about the election and the media reports, because I see that, in fact, like Maserado, people really thought that there were only two candidates. It's like nobody, the press is not giving coverage to anybody else besides the law and T5. And it's like that almost across the country. Yes, the candidates may be small, but we cannot, as media people, decide who the winner will be even before the election starts. We have to, if not interview everybody, but at least give everyone the opportunity to be heard or to be seen by the voters. I think with answering our elections or our democracy is we're getting there little by little. My thing is, and my disappointment is, we put too much in the election basket. It's like nothing else matters to Liberians or the Liberian voters than people that are running for offices. And the way the referendum was even treated, like people didn't really care. That tells you that besides individuals that are running for office, nobody cares about anything else. As deepest part of the country where there are no roads, the people are in the mud, dancing and sacrificing their lives for candidates to represent them. And when that person gets to power, there's no history of that person looking back and saying, okay, these are the people that voted for me. I need to represent them. I need to do X, Y, Z. They forget about them. Every year, they look for somebody new to use them or to abuse them or to steal from them. And it looked like they are okay with it. Another thing that I saw in the election is from cheating in the election these days is very hard. It's very difficult. And in order to do that, you must really do all the bad stuff. With technology and the political awareness of our people, is getting more and more difficult to cheat. And I must commend those who are the tally sheets. What I saw is the election result became little consistent with the tally sheets we saw earlier. So the tally sheets, they snapped down this iPhone and they were able to count them and have an idea of where the votes were leading. And so that's a good thing. So if you think you're going to cheat in elections or do things, out of the way, broad day cheating like we saw in maybe 1985, probably is not going to happen on that level anymore in Liberia. And another thing that I saw is we have not, and to Massa's point, put in all the safeguards to be able to protect our election, the integrity of our elections. Okay, voter tracking, voter roll, national identification. I mean, what stopped me when I vote in Douala, running across the St. Paul Bridge to go vote in Bome? Nothing stopped me. I can do it. I can register in two places, register one place as Dennis Jar and go somewhere and register as Dennis C. Jar. So if I can get there in time and wipe the pin off my finger, I can still vote. So we still need a little more. Our borders are very porous. People can just go in and out. And you have relatives living across the border. So nothing stops someone from coming from Tai to vote in Grand Jide, or coming from Tokoromun to vote in Lofa, or coming from Bosu to vote in Nimba. So these are things that we need to look at to put in little more safeguard to protect the integrity of the vote. But again, all in all, we want to commend the Liberian voters, the Liberian people, the government, and also the NEC for conducting a peaceful election. We are not there yet, but I think it's a step in the right direction. On that note,
but Dennis, please, one last important point neither of us made. What we also saw in these elections is that in the entire country, did that. The candidates did it. The supporters did it. The media did it. We need to guide against declaring winners of an election prematurely before NEC has announced the winners. So even if we think someone has a sizable lead, it is still good, especially the media and people like us. It is still good. You can make assumptions, but you cannot say definitively that this person has won. Like, for example, everybody else was declaring themselves winner. They don't issue a statement. Yompley issue a statement. Fubi Henry called a press conference, and spoke and said he has won, the seat, and nobody should cheat him. But now here, finally, the final tally has come in, and the table has been turned. Fubi did not win the election. Instead, the focal guy won, even though it's a very close margin. The focal guy has 34% and Fubi Hendricks has 33%. So you see how very close it is. So please, there's a press union code, okay? Number 5 of the code that says, be sure that poll results are scientifically verifiable and internationally acceptable. Reporting election results should only come from NEC, certified by NEC. So we do that so that we don't raise expectation, and then when it doesn't happen, then our people get frustrated and they start to riot, and then it gave way to violence. So please, next time, please do not declare anybody a winner. They don't order you, please, even though we know you are leading, but please, next time, don't declare yourself a winner until the final tally is given.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Sia, let's close this.
on that note, folks in cyberspace, we want to say thank you so very much for following this broadcast. This is how we will close it. We have another show coming on at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. This time around, we are asking the question, how can we conduct elections better and proficiently in Liberia? We have an election practitioner who is coming to tell us, and we also have somebody who has been advocating for decentralization in Liberia. So he's coming with suggestions and ways we can decentralize the administration of the conduct of our election, so much so that it can be proficient, fairer, and also efficient. You don't want to watch, you don't want to miss it. Dennis, this will do it for us. Enjoy your usual song. We are all Liberians. Whether your candidate won, whether your candidate is down, we are all Liberians. Don't worry. The candidate don't put bread on your table. They put bread on their own table anyway. Bye-bye.
We are Liberians.